We start off with the Parramatta Eels taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Parramatta are pretty much unchanged, are in their bench. Davey comes back in onto the bench. South's a little bit of a change up as well. Knight comes back in. The Eels didn't really deliver last week. They beat the Storm, but it wasn't convincing against a Storm side that was missing a lot of their stars. South have got a lot to lose at the minute. They're hanging around the bottom of the 8. I mean, the gap has been closed. The gap has been opened a little bit as well with their win last week. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, it wasn't convincing from Parramatta last week. We're not going to say no as a Parramatta fan to a 14-0 win against the Storm. You know, we always want a little bit of revenge after them cheating for the 2009 grand final, but enough about that. The Rabbitohs came out and just absolutely slaughtered the Sea Eagles last week. It was something like 36-0 at half-time, 56-16. As you mentioned, no changes really outside of Davey, but that's a pretty solid replacement there for the Eels. The Rabbitohs get Dane Gagai. You know, they lose Johnson, but you know it's still a pretty strong side. Look, it's a tough one to pick. It's a mouth-watering clash to open up round 16 of the shortened season. Can't really give you a straight answer, at least on bets, but of course, in terms of who I'm going to pick, I'm going with my heart and probably a little bit of my head here. I'm going to say Parramatta. I'll throw it back to you if you want to open up our bets for the week in which we would have made profit if anyone followed both of us, surprisingly. So, Mr. Matthew Wright, what have you got for us?
So I'm gonna take the under on the points if it's sort of about 38 thereabouts. What are they offering on the under there? Because I'm thinking this is going to be low scoring, and I will give my reasoning.
I'll tell you in a hot second. 39.5.
39.5. Yeah, back the under. So Parramatta have been very good defensively. The Rabbitohs have a tendency to be very clunky in attack. Saying that though, Parramatta 312 points scored, Rabbitohs 309 points scored. So I'd say take the under, take Parramatta 1-12 for me, just because I think this is going to be a tight, low-scoring game. Parramatta, we saw it last week, struggle to execute sometimes. Some of those balls going a little bit astray. South's exactly the same. When they're going through their sets, they've got a few errors in them. But both teams overall have been relatively sturdy in defence. And it's worthwhile mentioning the fact that although it is close on the points, you've got to think 56 of those points came just last week against Manly. So while those do look like impressive point-scoring stats, these are not two high-scoring teams.
I'm going to offer this to you before I run in my analysis. Not Manly, South Sydney. I'm looking at the Manly game. South Sydney in the last 4 weeks have scored, and let's see if I can do some math, 30, 50, 100, 130, nearly 150 points. So nearly half their season total in the last 4 weeks. In the previous 5 meetings between Parramatta and South Sydney, it's gone over the 39.5 3 times. Out of the last 5, the other 2 were 22-16 wins to Parramatta. Even some more in-depth analysis, if you would like. 3 of the last 5 have been decided by 6 or less. 4 of the last 5 by 12 or less. And the other one was a 42-24 win at ANZ Stadium in which South Sydney scored 2 tries in the last 10 minutes. So I do like your thinking on the Parramatta 1-12, but I'm not going to quite piggyback off that one. Look, not to lie, it's a tough one for me. Trying to figure this out, but I'm going to give you Parramatta on the race to 20. I just think, as good as South Sydney have been in attack the last couple of weeks, the two, they've conceded at least 10 points in every game. They conceded 24 against the Dragons, 30 against the Cowboys. If you want to go back a little further. 18 against Canberra, who really aren't that much of an attacking side when you compare it to the likes of Parramatta, Penrith, and a full-strength Storm. Newcastle, they concede 20. Again, 20 against Penrith, 22 against the Storm, 28 against the Roosters, 22 very early in the season against Brisbane. So I think Parramatta on the race to 20 at $1.82. There's some good value in that. And of course, it wouldn't be a Lukey Jobson tip without an anytime try scorer. I'm going to go for some cheeky value here, recognizing that we have Matteson and Sean Lane coming up against Bailey Siren and Jaden Sewer, who are very good in attack, but every now and then have a defensive slip up. I'm going to go Ryan Matteson, an anytime try scorer, at $3.75. I think that's pretty good value. He's one of the premier second rows in the competition, has a pretty good strike rate in 2020. If you want to look at some other options, Dane Gagai at $3.25. If he goes up against Wonga Blake, is outstanding value. I also think Michael Jennings at $2.50 is a shout. But I'm going Eels head-to-head, Para on the race to 20, Madison $3.75. Matty, unless you want to add anything else, Para 1 to 12 and under 39.5.
Yep. That'll do us on that one then, and we will get on to the next one.